Frank's Red Hot is the perfect blend of flavor and heat, so you can use an entire bottle to make recipes like buffalo chicken dip or buffalo nachos, or even things that don't start with buffalo. Frank's Red Hot, I put that on everything.
Craig.
Podcast versus everyone. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. We're at Flatstick Pub drinking beer. All right, dude. That's all I got.
How many of our listeners do you think are going to recognize that?
I don't know. Like the people that like the soccer talk.
Yeah, the ones that like the Sounders.
Yeah,
I wonder how many Sounders
or any
fans
soccer team.
have.
I think every soccer team uses that.
Yeah, that's
bit.
like the little soccer secret is like all the songs are ripped off from somewhere else.
All right, so welcome to Podcast versus Everyone. I'm Craig Powers. With me is Jeff Nusser. We are, if you didn't notice, we're in a bar. We're at
they can hear
a Coug-owned bar called Flatstick Pub, one of the locations, the Pioneer Square location. We are pre-gaming for a Sounders match.
A friendly, as it were.
A friendly against a German team. So we're drinking American beer.
That's right.
Screw those Germans.
Washington beer, Seattle beer.
And we have with us two guests today from Flatstick Pub. We have Rob. And Rob, you can use your last name.
Rob Forbes. Nice to meet you guys.
Rob is the brand manager at Flatstick Pub, graduate of WSU in 2016. And we have with us Brian.
Hi, Brian Largent. Nice to meet you all.
Brian, I don't know your title here at the pub. I didn't do the research on you.
I'm just joined the pub. I'm in operations. I'm kind of under the senior operations team.
All right.
Awesome.
Cool.
So we'll get them on in a little bit.
Yeah.
To talk.
So we'll start this podcast like we start every podcast.
Talking about the beer.
Talking about beer. But after that, before we do that, let's do a commercial, Jeff.
Dude, you want to do a commercial 2 minutes in?
Yeah, I do. I just want to get it out of the way
just
before
had a
we
commercial
forget.
at the beginning.
I know, but we're going to forget.
We're not doing another commercial right now.
Oh, fine,
just keep
Jeff.
going.
Whatever, man. All right, so Jeff, what are you drinking? It's the same thing I'm drinking.
Thing you're drinking.
Well,
dude.
do you know what it is?
Yes, it's the Reuben's Brews Pacific Northwest Crush.
So he didn't actually
there
know
we go,
what it was.
Pacific Northwest. See, I remembered.
So Rob, you want to tell us about this beer?
I mean, so Reuben's, they have, we do a lot of awesome things with them. They have their Crush series. This is the Pacific Northwest Crush. Probably one of my favorites that they've come out with from their Crush series. I really like it. It definitely, I feel it definitely tastes a little like foresty, piney a little bit for a hazy IPA. So I don't know, you can probably smell it off the nose, but it's definitely good stuff. I like it a lot.
Yeah, I can see why it's called Crush. Very drinkable, very refreshing on a 65-degree July summer day with rain.
Yeah. You know, I refuse. I still wear shorts and T-shirt. I don't care.
Yeah, I'm wearing shorts and a T-shirt.
But yeah, the Crush series is a good one. Reuben's they've went through a lot of iterations at this point, and this is definitely. I agree with you, Rob. This is more pineier than you typically get. It's got kind of an old school West Coast IPA, Pacific Northwest IPA vibe, but it still has that mouthfeel and that body of a hazy IPA, and obviously the look. It's very hazy.
Yep. Yeah, that's fantastic.
So what are you drinking, Rob?
Drinking the Skookum Peach Cobbler Clouds. So it's part of their Cloud series, which is definitely a favorite of all the employees and staff here at Flatstick Pub. It's actually considered a lactose IPA, so they use lactose sugar, which kind of gives it that sweet, balanced taste. It's sweeter to your typical hazy IPA. Definitely one of my favorites. If you guys haven't been to Skookum before, definitely check it out. We have it on tap at all of our locations all the time. So, it's definitely Skookum does an awesome job. If you have to check out their spot one of these times in Arlington, they really know how to do it right. So.
Yeah, we like to say Skookum is the unofficial brewery of the podcast. Jeff has drank many Skookums.
Jeff drinks a lot of Skookum when he can get his hands on it.
The Cloud series, like you said, so not for vegans.
No.
Not vegan-friendly beer.
No.
Or lactose intolerant folk.
That is true.
It's interesting. There are some I know the brewer down at Three Magnets is lactose intolerant, so when they brew their milkshake beers, they don't actually put lactose or anything in them. They put vanilla in there to try to emulate
Cheater.
that. Yeah. Hey, well, he doesn't want to drink his own beer and then have to go straight to the bathroom.
Yeah, I guess that's all right.
But yeah, Skookum, I'm really excited they just released a barrel-aged barley wine. I had a buddy of mine pick me up some bottles. He's delivering to me on Saturday, so pretty stoked to try that.
Yeah. So I was saying before we started recording that this double cobbler clouds that you're having, I had a single, whatever their single version of it last summer was. And one of the things I liked about it is I don't really like peach that much. And so the peach was fairly subtle. And so how about this one, the double? Is it still pretty subtle, or is it pretty peachy? I didn't
even realize it was a double until you said that right now. So now, I mean, I haven't had the single one, but this one's tasting good to me. So.
Awesome.
A little bit, honestly. Yeah,
a little bit.
Just a little bit. I'm not.
Yeah.
Peach kind of reminds me a little bit of back in the Pullman days, the peach brunettes a little bit. So I'm trying not to think about peach a little bit, but honestly, it is really good. Now you guys got me thinking about peach, so it tastes good to me.
Or some peach the Fuzzy Navel Boone's Farm?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
Yeah, the old Boone's Pass, the Coug.
Peach brunettes.
This actually has way more alcohol than an actual Boone's Farm.
Boone's Farm.
Yeah.
Sneaky 8%.
But yeah, let's talk about, if we're talking about beer, let's talk about what you guys do here. I know one of the key things about your tap list is that it's all Washington beers, which is pretty cool. And obviously, we're fortunate to live in a state where there's a lot of good beer. But yeah, so go ahead and talk about your kind of philosophy with that tap list.
Yeah, so I mean, since day one over in Kirkland, I mean, our number one thing is how can we be consistent in the community and building that bridge with people that love to enjoy beer but aren't trying to drink these big corporate heavy AB InBev beers, like we like to work with the small guys. Our tap lists are honestly super extensive. They're always rotating. We actually have our Flatstick Pub app, which is really awesome, that we have. You can literally, it's updating all the time. We have a rewards level on there to where pretty much you can record your beer, review, take notes, because everyone that loves local beer loves to remember what they like. So like you were saying earlier, the single peach cobbler clouds, you remembered, but how do you remember, So that's how we keep track of it on the app and whatnot. It's awesome. We do like locals brewers tournaments, so that's kind of one of our favorite events where we actually have all the brewers from representing breweries come out and compete with each other on the mini golf course together to compete for tap handles. So for like 6 months, 3 months, 1 month. But yeah, things like that. I think it's just, especially lately in Seattle, the last 5 years, we've seen the beer game change, and people just really do enjoy drinking what's out of their backyard other than something that's coming from state to state or from a different, so. Yeah, I think Flatstick's pretty passionate about that. What do you think, Brian?
Yeah, I definitely agree. Working with the local breweries, a lot of people end up coming here, trying the beer, and then going to see those breweries because they get so interested in their beers. So there's a really good relationship with a lot of the local Washington breweries. In addition, just all the games. I mean, we're all about games and having fun and entertainment and unique games. People know about mini golf, but we've also got duffel board, we've got stick putt, we've got ball jockey, a lot of games that were created by the team here at Flatstick. So,
yeah, so I've only ever been, before today, I'd only ever been to the one in Kirkland, which, I don't know if anybody's ever been there, but if you haven't, it's basically, it's like a bar, and then there's like a side area with the golf. It's pretty small. This place is expansive. Like, this is amazing. You got like this whole like downstairs area in Pioneer Square. You got this huge space for the golf. You got other games in the other room. Maybe talk a little bit about like, people are going to see Flatstick Pubs, popping up in different spots. I know you got one coming in Spokane. You got one coming in Tacoma. Just kind of talk about how, first of all, the different locations you've got, and then also kind of how why what you're doing is striking a chord with people that you're able to expand and open up these different locations all over the place.
Sure. Yeah. So I'll first start. The first Flatstick Pub, Kirkland, opened 5 years ago. We just celebrated our 5-year anniversary there, and a lot smaller than the Pioneer Square, a lot smaller than the South Lake Union locations, a lot smaller than the Spokane location is going to be, and the Tacoma location that's coming down the road. So, but that's the original, and it's got a lot of character, and it's got a lot of the original members that still frequent the pub frequently. So there's a lot of really good relationships there. Pioneer Square, we're sitting here now. We're down in a basement in Pioneer Square. It's a very unique new duffel board game was introduced here, a 9-hole course. There's a duffel board game in Kirkland, but the 9-hole duffel board course is here. So a bunch of other games, a bunch of party rooms, a bunch of really good art by Henry. And then South Lake Union came about a year. We just celebrated our year anniversary yesterday with the first really function at South Lake Union. So it's a little bit bigger. It's on Mercer and Westlake, big glass windows, a lot of visibility. So completely different pub there as well. And I'll let Rob talk about some of the different things we do in the community.
Yeah, I think going back to the sense of community, I think is kind of the passion, and what we are very passionate about at Flatstick is how can we make someone's day better. I mean, coming in, we do a thing called Sunday Fundraise, which we've been doing for a while now. So $2 of every round of golf and $2 of every beer is actually donated to local charities that we pick throughout the year. And last year, which is really crazy, 2018, we raised $129,000 for local charities in the Seattle area. So that just speaks for itself right there. We do really care about the community, and it makes these partnerships a lot easier with all these people in Seattle. People really do feel truly a part of what we're doing here. So.
Well, and one of the reasons I like to go to Flatstick before Sounders Mariners games is I know it's a Coug bar, and so that I feel at home. And it's run by Cougs, owned by Cougs, and then a lot of the employees are Cougs too. So that's pretty cool. I'd love to hear about. We kind of were talking before the podcast. You're talking about having Cougar football watch parties, and you were talking about charities. So Helinski's Hope is an important charity to us. We've raised money for it on Coug Center as well. So I'm talking about how what you did last year during football season with Helinski's Hope, and then what people can expect on Cougar Football Saturday when they go to Flatstick Pub.
Yeah, totally. So last year we donated for every beer poured during games. Was a dollar of every beer was donated towards Helinski Hope Foundation. We raised, I think, about almost $18,000 last year towards Helinski Hope, and I think that really brought kind of everyone together during that tough time, and it was awesome. That was kind of around when right after South Lake Union opened. But yeah, South Lake Union, Kirkland, and Pioneer Square, they'll be packed on game days every single time you walk in the store, and it's nice, a little bit different feel at each pub. Kirkland's going to be that little neighborhood type bar. Pioneer Square definitely gets a little rowdy for sure. Everyone knows how to have a couple beers, They
got the big screen too here, so. What? They got the biggest screen here too, by the way, at Pioneer Square.
Pioneer Square's got a big screen. So yeah, right there on the golf course, everyone can come watch the game. And then South Lake Union was our new one. We opened up. We were only open for a month before the first game last year. We kind of didn't know how it was going to go, but it turned out to be a great success. We decorate the pubs and all Coug stuff, and
turn the music off, and you have the game plays on the loudspeakers.
Oh yeah, sound is on, baby. Sound is on. So.
That's nice to find, on the west side sometimes. Even some of the places that host Cougar watch parties are just they're just neutral bars, or even Husky bars sometimes that you got to find a place to go watch a game. So it's cool to go and have Cougs around and all that. I love that. So Jeff, what do you think?
Well, first of all, if anybody noticed any sort of awkward sound, it's partly because we're passing 2 microphones among 4 people.
Yes.
I just kind of want to throw that out there for people. Yeah, we're kind of like, passing them around here. But
so
no.
I just want to say, like, we put on Twitter that we're here and we're recording here, and there's like definitely people are stoked about that. So so I hope they're all going to listen and be super excited as well.
Yeah, I hope so too. Now would be a good time to take a commercial break, Craig.
Yeah, I think. And after we come back, we're going to talk about some great Cougar football memories. So you just suffer through this 30-second advertisement for another podcast.
Might be 60 seconds.
It might be 60. Whatever.
I'm not even sure.
You'll probably learn about a new cool podcast, so deal with it.
Probably. All right, welcome back.
Welcome back.
I hope
what
an
ad!
Learned something that you could.
That ad was amazing.
That ad was incredible.
Yeah, you guys are so lucky.
That's right.
Those of you that pressed the 30-second skip ahead button really missed out.
Capitalism at its finest.
Yeah. All right, so there was one more thing I know we wanted to talk about with you guys, and it was your relationship with Gleason Fest. So what's that about?
Yeah, so we're going to be one of the sponsors over in Spokane for Gleason Fest. That will be on August 10th over there in Spokane. Awesome event. It's going to be our first year working with them and whatnot. And, we're super excited about it. So if you guys are listening to this now, definitely check it out. It's definitely for a good cause. I mean, Steve Gleason's a big part of the Coug community and what we're all about. So we're really excited to be a part of it.
Yeah, and that's one that's pretty near to me because, so Brian, you went to school at the same time I did in the mid to late 90s, and so that's obviously when Steve Gleason was there. And so I spent a lot of time around Steve covering, football games and different stuff. And so, it's kind of seeing what he's going through and just watching how he's coping with that with his family. Just sort of all of those things. It's great that you guys are also participating in that. So,
yeah, I mean, Steve is a longtime old friend of the family. His mom was my 7th grade teacher, and he was a grade ahead of me. And for junior high was the only school I spent with him except for Wazoo. So, yeah, definitely excited to be a part of Gleason Fest and get out back to Spokane and get going on that.
All right.
Should we talk some Cougs?
We should talk some Cougs. It was great. We love Flatstick Pub, but I'm sure people are like, all right, let's hear about WSU stuff. And it is the summer, so there ain't a lot going on. Jalen Thompson has a team. We'll talk about that next week.
Yeah.
Robert Franks is summer league. We'll talk about that next week. But this week we had a couple other Cougs with us. We want to talk about some great Cougar football memories, and what the prompt I gave everyone is, what is your favorite Cougar football game that you were at in attendance? Your favorite Cougar football experience in attendance. And
so should we start with most recent or least recent?
I think we start with most recent, and I know that's the guy right next to me over here, our most recent grad. So Rob. I know you have a good game to talk about. What is your favorite Cougar football in-person memory?
Favorite Cougar football in-person memory would for sure have to be, this is the first game I attended after I graduated from Wazoo. It was the game versus USC playing Sam Darnold when they were number 5. Man, I did not like that guy very much, but yeah, so that game, honestly, we're snuck into the student section with my little brother. Had to do that for sure.
Is your little brother a student?
He graduated last year.
Okay.
But, he was a student at that time. And, I snuck down there, felt right, obviously. And then I just remember that game, 30-27, Cougs at the end when Sam Darnold fumbled that ball. That was honestly that put the cherry on top for the whole thing, yeah. We ran onto the field. I remember storming the field with everyone, all me and my best friends as well. Saw him down there with my brother and going crazy. It's actually a really funny story. So I saw Andre Dillard. It's my guy. He's from Woodinville. So I grew up in Redmond. But Really funny story. Yeah, I go up to him and had a couple beers before I saw him for sure. And I'm talking to him like, hey, can I get a picture with you real quick? I played golf with a grandpa once. He's like, what the hell? You're telling me this right now? I'm like, yeah, I played golf with a grandpa once. But funny enough, I actually met his grandpa on the golf course a year and a half prior to even knowing who Andre really was. And he had a Husky bag on, and I had a Coug bag on. And he goes, go Cougs. And I was like, really? You have a Husky bag going? Yeah. And I'm like, really? Well, yeah, go Cougs, I guess, whatever. And he goes, well, Andre Dillard's, that's my my grandson. I'm like, oh, no way. Like, that's crazy. So that's what I told Andre Dillard when I saw him in the middle of the field versus USC. But, yeah.
I'm sure at that time he was like, that's so great.
Oh, he probably didn't listen to a word I said, to be honest. He's like,
he's just cool. Like, what? Okay.
But, yeah, that game just, after that, too, just running around up and down C Street like crazy, that was something else. So that's definitely my favorite memory.
Well, I think what was awesome about that game was that, that you came into it with some, my favorite word, momentum. But it's like, there was this, it was this big clash of ranked teams and, one
4-0.
Yeah. And it was Friday night, so it was the only game on TV.
Yep.
The Cougs roll with the all anthracite uniforms, right, for the first time. And I don't know, it just was like one of the things, and like Brian, you can probably talk about this, but it's like, there's been some ups and there's been some downs, but one of the things about this Mike Leach era that's sort of unique and different is that you can sort of expect consistent excellence every year, and that's Mike Price obviously hit some real highs, but it was never really consistent excellence outside of like that 1-3-year run. That was about it, and then obviously it dropped off a little with Doba from there. I think that's sort of the magic of Mike Leach is this is this idea that you can be good every year, and that maybe we're gonna have a tough time winning a Pac-12 championship or whatever for whatever reason that is, but it's like you can expect that there are going to be big games. You can expect there's going to be big moments. You can expect there's going to be clash. We did the everyone in 60 right over with Oregon. It's game day. It's those kinds of things that maybe the program hasn't become accustomed to, that we now sort of expects these moments of big time clash with USC or Oregon or whatever, and these moments at Martin Stadium that we didn't get. And then you can also maybe chime in on this as well, but when we were in school, Martin Stadium wasn't what it is now, right? It was basically like a Texas high school football stadium with a trailer sitting on top of one side of the stadium where the press would sit, and the high powered the president's box over. It's like, it's incredible what's been done.
Yeah, I've been going down to games since I was 3 or 4 years old. My dad had season tickets forever, so I remember going down and sitting in the end zone in those wooden seats, and just really a less impressive stadium than any other one in the Pac-12 for a lot of years. But touching on what you said about Mike Leach, it makes me think back to my years with Mike Price there, and what would have happened had he not left for Alabama, because they were really building it the right way back then. But yeah, it's a fun time for Cougar football.
Yep. All right, so Craig, you're next. What's yours?
I want to piggyback on Rob's for a little bit.
Yeah, because I can talk about that too. I took my kids to that game.
That was a fun day. Like I drove down on a Friday. I took the day off and put for that day in as soon as the schedule came out. Right. Yep. So, and just to have the revelry of the next day watching all the other college football, knowing we have already taken care of business, like everyone's talking about WSU on game day, and everyone's talking about WSU all day, because that was pretty great. Just I remember the tailgating and just the after the ecstasy after the game. We rushed the field too, my sister and I, and then we went straight out to Sherwood's tailgate right afterward.
And so I took my whole family to the game. I was like, so when I saw it on the schedule, put in for a personal day, Took the day off, drove over earlier on Friday. So took the kids to the game. Well, the thing about college football is the games are long, right? Like they're longer than NFL games, like 3.5 to 4 hours.
Yeah,
so
these Sounders games are actually the ones that take your kids to.
Yeah, I know.
2 hours.
Soccer matches are great. But college football games that start at 7 or 7:30 are not so great for small children. So my kids were 10, 7, and 5 at that point. And so I take them to this game, and they made it until the third quarter, till the end of the third quarter. And then Sarah was like, I got to get him out of here. I was like, okay, but I'm not leaving. She's like, I don't expect you to leave. That's
Sarah
fine.
knows you.
I know. No, Sarah knows me. And we had even thought ahead and downloaded Netflix movies to the phones because we knew that
not good enough.
We knew the cellular wouldn't be shit. We were just like, okay, we're not gonna be able to stream anything. We'll just download the movies. It'll be fine. That kept them at bay until the end of the third quarter, and then they were starting to, punch each other and lick each other and all the. So I listeners know this. You guys know this. I have 3 boys, so they're so they do all kinds of boy things to each other. So they left, but we were sitting in the round, the horseshoe end,
right?
Because the tickets were cheapest, and I was taking my whole family. And so the relevant part of that is that the Sam Darnold sack happened right in front of me.
Yes.
And so I'm sitting right in the end zone, and I swear I see the seas part, and then here comes Jahad Woods. And I'm just like, it's you see he drops back on the snap, and then all of a sudden about a beat later, it's just like the line just opens up, and here he comes on this delay blitz, and I'm like, oh, here he comes. And then it was and then he got the strip, and I'm jumping up and down, acting the fool, and acting like I'm about 20 years younger than I actually am. Yeah. It was, so it was, that was my thing. So then afterwards, right, we go out to Sherwood's tailgate, and we're hugging each other, and I think Kyle might have jumped up into my arms.
Listening to Return of the Mac a few times.
Yeah, we sang Return of the Mac a few times. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure Kyle jumped into my arms.
He definitely did.
And Kyle's bigger than me. He should maybe have jumped into your arms.
Yeah,
because you're actually a comparable size.
He also jumped in my arms.
That's true.
But it was after he jumped in your arms, so he had a little less gusto with me.
Yeah. So anyway, that was pretty fun.
But yeah, that was amazing. My game is also going to be a USC game,
but a different one.
But we don't beat USC that often, so
that's right.
It's pretty fun when we do. So when I was our people who read Coug Center might know this, but so I lived in Tennessee and Vermont for a combined 5.5 years, a little bit after I graduated. So I hadn't been to, in 2013, I hadn't been to a game since the 2008 Apple Cup. So I was missing out on that Cougar football experience. I actually had a work conference in LA. Or in Anaheim, actually, but whatever. You're flying to the same airport, but well, sometimes. Well, when you want to go to a football game, you fly into LAX instead of Santa Ana, or whatever,
because it's a little cheaper.
Yeah, but anyway, so
it's about the only thing that could drive you to want to fly into LAX.
But yeah, so when the schedule came out, or when that conference came up, I was like, holy shit, I can go to the USC game if I just go a day earlier, and so or the weekend before, and so I bought my ticket. Because I was so excited, I actually bought it through WSU and paid the full price, even though I definitely could have went on StubHub or whatever right before the game and bought a way cheaper ticket because that place wasn't sold out. But anyways, I was really excited. I had my official ticket. I remember when it came in the mail in Vermont. The one ticket in the little envelope. I was so stoked. I remember flying into LA. I met a longtime reader of ours. He goes by SoCal Coug on Twitter, and we had some beers at a very large corporate chain beer bar that has a lot of taps and not very much good beer that I won't mention by name. Actually, if I'm going to shit on him, Yard House is kind of shit. They have 100 taps, and you're still lucky to find one good beer when you're there. But yeah. So we went to Yard House. I spilled a beer all over the thing. I remember doing that. And then we went into USC. It's the weirdest tailgating setup I'd seen. Like, it's just like, it's very LA, and like there's parking garages just everywhere, like just as far as the eye can see, parking garages. I remember we crashed the WSU Alumni Association party, even though we didn't have tickets. They were welcoming everyone at that point. Then we went into the game, and the USC fans are pretty cocky because they're playing WSU, and we've only beat them like never. They probably, it was early in the season, so they probably thought they were good. You know,
they were. So I'm looking this up right now. They were ranked number 22.
They were actually ranked. Okay,
they were ranked.
We had just come off of losing to Auburn, who eventual national champion Auburn, right, that year.
That's right.
And just should have beat them. So I go into the game. They're really cocky. I remember USC scored first, and it was like 7-0 pretty late. And, it was obviously a 10-7 game in the end. It was not a lot of things happening. It was 7-0, and these girls that were about 10 rows in front of us just turn in and start talking crap to all the Coug fans. They're like flipping us the bird, and just like, and not like 2 plays later, DeMonte Horton pick 6 happens, and we tie the game, and so we would not like let them forget that the rest of the game. And then obviously DeMonte Horton picks another one to end the game after was it Fernie? Was it Fernie at that time? Yeah, it was Fernie.
Yep.
He kicked the
It's
field
Andrew
goal.
Fernie.
So 10-7. Man, walking out of that stadium was the best feeling in the world.
Well, what I love about the fact that you picked that game is that's easily one of the worst games I've ever watched in my life.
Oh, yeah, no, it was an awful game.
That was like the worst game.
I'm pretty sure it was done in like 2.5 hours, too.
So hold on, I'm gonna read you some stats. You ready for some stats? Okay, here we go. There were only 26 first downs between the two teams.
It's that Mike Leach defense, man.
WSU gained 222 yards total. USC gained with
did not score an offensive touchdown.
USC
obviously.
with noted offensive mastermind Lane Kiffin as their coach gained 193 total yards. Only 54 of those, 54 through the air.
Against Mike Bresky.
That's right, against Mike Bresky. Okay, they completed 11 of 21 passes for a total of 2.6 yards per attempt.
And 2 to DeMonte Horton.
And 2 of those attempts went to DeMonte Horton. God bless him. Oh, and by the way, we only had 7 rushing yards.
Oh, man, the DeMonte's pick 6, he was free and clear and was nearly caught down with his famous 5.040 speed.
Nearly caught by, wasn't it like, it wasn't an offensive lineman, was it?
No, it was a wide receiver.
It was a wide receiver. Okay, that's right.
But, or maybe it was a tight end. I don't know.
Maybe.
But a USC tight end.
Okay, hold on. I'll bet it'll come back.
So we were walking out and like, I remember
it was Marquise Lee. I remember that. It was Marquise Lee that almost got it.
Yeah, he was.
That's right.
But we were walking out, and I remember this little kid, like, just like losing it to his dad, and he's like, "Dad, how did we lose to Washington State?"
And you know what? I was asking that same question after the game was over. How did that even happen? It was awesome, though.
It was. I was so happy to be there. It was amazing.
Well, and if you just think about it too, I mean, we were 6-6 that season.
We needed that win.
That game was, I mean, obviously all the wins you could say this about, but
I mean, if you think about it, they had to go to Auburn and then USC to start the season. They damn near beat Auburn, and then they beat USC.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome. Rob, where were you during the DeMonte Horton? So you would have been a student, right? Yes, freshman? No. Okay.
I actually transferred in, so I was there. I started in, what was it, early 2015.
Okay, so do you have any recollection of that game?
I mean,
it's
honestly,
okay if you
not
don't.
really don't. I don't. I was studying.
Good job, man.
He's living a charmed life of WSU memories right now.
I love it.
Starting in 2015. Nothing but wins.
Well, that's the thing, though. Like, so for Brian and I, that's how it was, too. Like, we were living the charmed life. Like, we went to a Rose Bowl, and then there were a couple of bad years, and then there was another Rose Bowl, and it was like, hey, this is what life is like when you're a Coug. This is all those old Cougs that are like, oh, don't worry, the losing's coming. And I'm like, no, it's not.
I'm just glad there's no one at this table right now who was a student during the Wolf years, because that would just be rough for them.
That would be rough. that would be. We could get Britton on, and he could talk. Britton was a student during the Wolf years, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, how about? Okay. So let's see. Anyway, Rob, you got any thoughts about 2013 USC?
I don't. I'm trying to remember as best I can, but I would have been watching that one on TV. So. Sitting at home.
Me too. I do remember that we all kind of thought maybe Lane Kiffin would get fired after that game, which he did not. He got fired
after the next game.
Week.
After they lost to Arizona State.
Next game,
they
right?
left him They left him at Arizona State.
Yeah.
They left him on the tarmac.
That's right. Left him on. They got Kiffined on the tarmac. So.
He's still at Florida Gulf Coast, right? Or no,
Florida Atlantic.
That's what it was. Sorry. My sister goes to FIU, so I was like, oh, it's kind of close, but
they're all the same down
FAU,
there.
FGCU. Florida Gulf Coast is the best one because of
Dunk City.
Andy Enfield years. Yeah,
Dunk City. All right. Well, since let's see. So I'll go. So I know that Brian's game is after mine, so I'll go next. All right. So my game is the 1997 Apple Cup. So that's my game. So
what happened in that one, Jeff?
I know, right? So brief, little brief.
Rob just said I was 6. So how old do you feel now, Jeff?
About as old as I usually feel when my students are like.
I was 12. So
I know. Look, no, I'm gonna have sophomores next year that were born in like 2003, like after 9/11, after. Like I graduated from college. Like, yeah. So anyway, so my game is the 1997 Apple Cup. So it's a little bit of history there. So at the time, that was my junior year, and I was the editor of the Daily Evergreen at the time. And I was also, while I was doing that, I was also kind of the football reporter for the Evergreen. Also, me and another guy, Nima Zarabi. I doubt Nima listens, but if he does, hey Nima. So me and Nima and I were the two guys who covered the team, and we were able to travel to a couple games. So we traveled to Arizona State, we traveled to Oregon, covered those games. Arizona State, of course, the only regular season loss that year. So we traveled to some games. But one of it's on the one hand, it's really cool to get to cover the games. You get to sit in the press box, you get this access, you get to talk to players, talk to coaches. All that stuff is super, super cool. So I got to do a lot of that kind of stuff. But the downside is that you never get to sit in like in the game. You don't get to do all the student stuff. You don't get to enjoy the game. You don't get to like tailgate the pre-funk. Like I didn't. You don't get to cheer. I don't get to like really enjoy it the way the rest of the student body got to enjoy that season. And so every game that I had attended, I was in the press box. I think the only game that I wasn't in the press box for the whole game was Dad's weekend against, what was it, like Southeast Louisiana or something like that. It would be 77 to whatever, right? 77-7. So my dad sat in the stands by himself for some reason, and so I joined him like in the fourth quarter. So that was about the only thing. So because I always had coverage to do, people to talk to, I had a story that I had to write the next day. But in the olden days, right, like the Apple Cup would be played at the beginning of Thanksgiving break. So I didn't have to, the Apple Cup was at the beginning of the break. It was in Seattle, near home. So I didn't have any responsibilities. I didn't have to cover it in the press box. I didn't have to do really anything other than just after the game go do some interviews. So this was the first game all year that I was able to attend just as a fan. And so I got to go tailgate beforehand, talk crazy amounts of shit to Huskies fans, which looking back now, I'm like, I wouldn't do that. We've lost so many of those damn things. I don't think I would ever do that again. But I did at the time, because I was 21 or 20. I was 20. I'm like, yeah, this is it, dude. We're hot shit. This is awesome. We're great. And it's funny, too, because I've gone back and watched that game on YouTube. And, there was a point there where I'd actually forgotten that Washington was ranked, 17th or 19th or something. They were really good, too. And I was so confident that we were going to win. And so I sat in where they had the students. They had the students parked on the old bleachers there on the Lake Washington end of the stadium, right under the scoreboard. Mm-hmm. They had these old, terrible wooden bleachers down there. And so I was sitting with my roommates at the time, my buddies Ryan, Joe, Chris, and Brady, and we were all down there. And during the thing I remember the most, my favorite moment, other than the end of the game, was Chris Jackson's touchdown. Right, the deep pass from Leaf where he ends up, trucking two guys to get the end zone. And so this was on the opposite side of the stadium, so I'm watching this. And so I see the catch, and we all start going bonkers because he caught it, and we're assuming he got tackled. And then all of a sudden we're like, wait, he's still running, and then he scored the touchdown. And then we really went crazy, and we were jumping up and down so vigorously that we cracked the bleachers underneath us. Yeah, and so we ended up with this board of the bleachers. We had this hole in those old wooden bleachers where we had broken this board. And so my buddy Joe picks up the board, broke it off the rest of the way, and holds it up and is like, yeah! And we're just like, yeah, we're taking a piece of Husky. Yeah, we took it back to our apartment in Pullman after the game, put it up on the wall. We were staying out at CCN. We were living out at CCN. Nice. So put it on the wall out there. But then I remember after the game I had a press pass too. So I was able to get down on the field shortly before the game ended so that when the Huskies, they scored their touchdown to kind of get within a touchdown, they were onside kicking. I was kind of right behind the Cougar bench at that moment, saw the kick, saw the recovery, saw everybody going bonkers. And I'm thinking, this is going to be super special. I'm going to be on the field, with all the players. And then all of a sudden, it ends, and they're running on the field. They got roses. They got Pac-10 champion hats and all this stuff. And I look over back where I came from, and all of a sudden they just had this little shitty portable fence in between the students and the field. And all of a sudden I see the security guys take about 10 steps back, and this shitty little portable fence goes, it just falls over. And all of a sudden all those students started charging, and it was a big party in the middle of the field. And the thing that always sticks out to me about it is looking around and seeing all the Husky fans that stayed in the stadium and were just watching us, and they were just holy shit, we were just having the time of our lives, partying on their field, and they almost weren't even pissed. They were sort of amused, wow, look at that, and I think part of it is that they don't when you experience success on a high level with relative frequency, it can kind of get old. I don't know if that's the right word, but it can kind of feel regular. And we had, obviously not been to the Rose Bowl in 67 years, not won a Pac-10 championship in 67 years. So our joy was so over the top and so pure. And I think that they were sort of look at that. That's kind of bananas. So anyway, that's my story. I know it was long, but that's my story.
Yeah, if you think about how excited Cougs were when WSU beat Oregon State under Wolf in 2011 or 2010, just to beat he hadn't beaten a Pac-10 or other than the Apple Cup in 2008, they hadn't beaten a Pac-10 school since then. And then you fast forward to when they got their sixth win in 2013, and just the relative. And now it's and then I remember 2015 getting the sixth win, just how ecstatic we were. And then last year's sixth win meant nothing. It didn't. We're okay, we won a sixth game, just so yeah. When you're talking about the UW fans, oh, we've been to 100 Rose Bowls. That's what they're saying. Oh, whatever. They probably went to the Rose Bowl a couple years prior. they probably wouldn't understand Coug fans losing their shit over going to the Rose Bowl. Yeah, so just like we wouldn't, like young Coug fans like Rob wouldn't understand the ecstasy of beating a 4-win Oregon State team on the road because you hadn't won a damn game in 2 years. But yeah, so yeah, it's all relative, man. But yeah, that's a great story. That's a great fucking story.
So my brother Sam, who founded the Flatstick Pub, he was at that game on that field after the game with you, and had Mike Price on his shoulders. He was one of the guys holding them up. Just trying to add that in there. He's been at every Apple Cup ever since, by the way.
That's awesome. Yeah, because I was right next to Mike Price during that. I'm thinking, I don't know, maybe I'll get a quote or something. No, that ain't happening. It just was. It was unbelievable just being like surrounded by that many Cougs and. Like I said, just kind of taking in the whole scene and climbing up on the goalposts, and
yeah, that was awesome.
It's it was a special moment. Like I said, shortly after that, it felt like, a few years later we go to another Rose Bowl, and then even after that we beat the Huskies. What was it, 4 out of 5 years, right? Yeah. And the Apple Cup's like the Apple Cup's a coin flip now.
Yep.
Yeah, that feels like a long time ago.
It does. Well,
you remember it like it was yesterday. That's the best thing, It's like things like that stick with you. It's crazy, but that's what I love about being a Coug. You don't forget those things. So.
Absolutely.
All right, Brian. So your game comes after mine,
but not by much. Just a couple of weeks.
A little
really.
bit.
So mine, obviously, the 1998 January 1st Rose Bowl game against the University of Michigan. So, first time Cougs have been to the Rose Bowl since 30, 31?
Yeah, something like that. 31, right?
31, I think it was. So it was a hot ticket to get. It's hard to get. I got kind of lucky because our dad had season tickets and wasn't going to go. And was able to get in the I think they had a lottery or something, and he got some tickets that way. I went with a big group of fellow students. Most of them took the bus down there. I was lucky enough to fly, but most of them took the Greyhound.
I'm trying to imagine taking a bus down to Southern California.
Yeah, and then when we got down there, we rented a Ryder truck and stayed in that Ryder truck the night before the game, right in the middle of all the motorhomes and RVs in the big lot right outside the stadium. So you can imagine how popular a bunch of kids staying in a Ryder truck were amongst the masses there. So we were well treated and fed that evening and had plenty to imbibe in as well. But no, the game was just right down to the very last second. Some would say there's still a couple seconds left to be played, but that's another story. It was a great game. It was a great game, well played. Had somebody offer me $1,000 for my ticket walking in the game. That was a tempting one to take, but I knew I'd regret it. So here I am talking about my favorite game, and had I taken that quick cash, that wouldn't have happened. But that's just how big those tickets were. I mean, it was just impossible to find a ticket. You had to kind of almost know somebody to get in that game, and it lived up to it. It was a great game.
Yeah, one of the things I remember most was so I was there covering as a member of the media. So the Evergreen sent me down there, and I got to sit in the press box. I almost missed the bus that took me from the hotel to the stadium because I was a 20-year-old idiot, and I had partied on New Year's Eve out at the Santa Monica Pier.
Well, of course you did.
Because I'm a moron.
Well, no.
And I remember, like, I woke up and I was like, holy shit. And I was like, did I miss the bus? And I'm like, and we were staying at a different hotel than the team, which was where the bus was leaving from. So I had to run 2 blocks to get there, and yeah. But I got there. But the inside of the stadium, number one, I remember was just crimson everywhere. And Michigan obviously had been to a lot of Rose Bowls.
Well, you think Brian was talking about the price of the tickets, if StubHub existed back then,
God,
what
yeah.
the ticket prices would be on StubHub. It'd be insane.
So I had actually had a ticket to the game. I got one of the student tickets, and I sold it to a friend who didn't get one of the tickets, and he had recently graduated. And I sold it to him for face value. And I have reminded him
You are so nice.
Yes. So Mike Plaster, if you're listening, I still remember that I sold you that ticket for face value. And yes, I'm going to remind you about it every time I see you. So
when I took my friends to which we didn't do the game day, college game day game this week because we talked about it last week, but But I would remind my friends, like, the tickets that I got for them, because I have season tickets. Like, I was like, oh, yeah, we could have sold these for, like, $400 or whatever. And they're like, oh, yeah, this hotel that you have, it's pretty rare that you would have a hotel.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you should hold that over your friend's head.
Yeah.
Forever.
Yeah. The other thing I remember about that game was, Michigan just being, like amazed by their level of athleticism. That was like just so different from ours. We obviously had some NFL guys, Ryan Leaf and Leon Bender would have been, a great NFL player. Steve Gleason obviously was in that game. I mean, Dorian Boose played for a few years in the NFL. I mean, Corey Withrow, the center, guard. He was a center in the NFL. But, so I mean, there were definitely NFL players on our team. But it was. On Michigan's side was ridiculous, right? So Charles Woodson is obviously the big one, and he wins the Heisman, and I just remember that interception of Leaf, watching it and watching the play unfold. So obviously I'm up in the press box, so I'm kind of up higher. I can see the play unfold, and I'm thinking, I think he was throwing to Sean Timms. I can't remember, but anyway, I remember thinking the guy was wide open, and Leaf obviously thinking the guy was wide open, and Woodson had just sort of baited him into that throw, and him just making this ridiculous leaping interception, and it was just like, oh yeah, this is different. They had obviously Brian Greasy, Dahani Jones I think was on that team,
right?
Ty Streets obviously, they had some NFL guys too. So anyway, just kind of remember feeling what a big time game it was, what a big time opponent it was, just the beauty of the sunset and all that, and then also just being like, where's my 2 seconds? I want my 2 seconds back. So
yeah, the worst thing is I remember traveling. I think I was at another work conference, and I was in a bar, and I was having a conversation with this woman, and she was a Michigan alum, and so I started talking to her about the 97. They're like, oh yeah, they remember that the split national championship or whatever. But I was like, you remember the Rose Bowl? Do you remember we played? She's like, oh yeah, we played Washington something or one of them, and I was like, yeah, and I was like,
it's hard to keep all the Rose Bowls straight, Craig.
So I was like, there's still two, so I brought up there's still 2 seconds left, like blah blah blah, and she's just like,
I have
she had no
what
idea.
You're talking about.
Like she it was totally irrelevant to her.
Yeah,
like she was like, and to us,
that's
it's
just another one of our national championships.
Yeah, right. So yeah, to the Cougs, Coug fans, it's
my dying day, I will say that the reason why they didn't fix it is because clock expires and everybody runs on the field. They start bringing the platform on the field, the trophy on the field. I mean, the referees were just
off the field.
The referees were just like, nope, we're out of here, game over. If that game happened today, there would be a replay. They would put a second back on the clock, and we would have one more play, and then we wouldn't have anything to complain about because we would have won the Rose Bowl. So,
and then Michigan fans would have complained about the obvious passing interference
that's all
that
set
up that play in the first place.
That's all I'm saying.
We won't talk about that.
Yeah, we won't talk about that. So here's what I'm thinking, Craig. I'm thinking this is a good spot to take a break.
All right.
And say goodbye to our friends Rob and Brian and thank them for coming along. Rob, you got any final words?
Last final words, I think go grab you guys another beer, first of all, if you guys are cool with that. Definitely walk a couple stairs.
I'm okay with that too.
Yeah, I'll walk up a couple stairs and grab you guys a couple beers. But yeah, I do appreciate you guys. Super excited for this Coug football season, for everyone listening. Definitely come out to Flatstick, and we'll show you guys a good time for sure. It's a great community, like we said before, and we got awesome beer. Support, drink local beer. Can't emphasize that enough. That's pretty much what I got.
Give me a quick prediction.
For what?
The season.
The season? I'm going to say we're losing 0 games. Undefeated.
I like that.
That's hot. Man, that's a recent grad. That's a Mike Leach grad right there for you. I tell you that. No, but
so get in the Flatstick and check in a Cougar football game. If you haven't been here for one, you won't regret it. I guarantee you that.
So yeah, again, we got locations in Kirkland, Pioneer Square, in South Lake Union. So yeah, Spokane we're looking at October right now, and then Tacoma will be early 2020, maybe pushing back maybe till February. So
Awesome.
yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks you guys for having us, and we'll take a little break.
Cool. Thank you guys. Appreciate you.
And we're back. That was an ad.
That was an amazing
ad. It was a beautiful ad.
Listen to that podcast. It was probably like shut down Fullcast or something.
So now's a good time to kind of wrap it up here. I think so. One thing we were talking about just during the break there, while we were saying goodbye to Rob and Brian, was that this definitely exceeded our expectations.
Yeah, absolutely. We're 100% going to be partnering or doing. I use the word partner because I work in business.
Because you work in marketing.
But we're definitely going to be doing cool stuff with Flatstick again.
Yeah.
Rob had mentioned that they have a truck that they're going to be driving out to the opener against New Mexico State,
so August 31st.
And having in the tailgate. They're going to have. They're bringing one putting hole and having beers, and so definitely be on the lookout for that. These are great guys. Like I have great folks. Obviously they're Cougs, and they have treated us.
Yep.
Amazingly, first class. I feel good about this. Honestly, we gave them a 1 day's notice, and they totally took care of us.
It's like seriously. Craig sent an email and was like, "Hey, we're thinking about doing this thing. What do you think?" Because we were going to this Sounders game, and we were like, well, maybe we should do a live show. That'd be great. We'll record it. And then Rob was just all over it and very excited and enthusiastic, and that's always encouraging. And so to be able to come up and pull it off, and it really is. I mean, look, Rob and Brian aren't sitting here anymore, so I don't need to blow sunshine or anything. But this is an incredibly cool place. I'm actually pleasantly surprised.
I don't know if you noticed, but the putting green holes spell out Seattle over here.
No, I didn't notice that.
Yeah, and they have the cool mini Space Needle.
Yeah.
And they have I forgot to have them explain what the hell duffel board is because I don't know what that
That's
is.
true.
But we'll have to have them on
save
again.
that for the next one.
Yeah. But yeah. So they definitely they were great hosts. If you felt like it was too much of an ad, well, sorry.
Tough, because this place is cool.
Yeah, we're promoting a cool business, which also happens to be a Coug-owned
business.
Which also employs WSU graduates.
Obviously.
So, neither of the guys that were on the show are owners or anything. No. They're employees of here. And so, very, very cool place. This place is packed before the Sounders. It doesn't even look like – a lot of these people aren't even going to the Sounders game. I think they're just having fun. I'm guessing all the Sounders fans already left. We're definitely getting there late.
Yeah,
but,
we got 15 minutes till kickoff. So
let's wrap
we're
this up.
We're going to wrap this up.
So, very special episode. We'll come back with a regular episode next week. But we'll definitely be we're hoping to do more things like this in the future, but thanks for listening. Go Cougs.
And the next one we do at Flatstick Pub, we're gonna have a show.
We're gonna have a show,
so we'll let you know in advance, you can show up.
I'm gonna wear my finest,
and we'll be able to talk to the literal tens of people that maybe arrive. If tens of people arrive, I will consider it a success. Tens.
There are dozens of us. Dozens.
That's right.
All right. So, whatever.
Whatever.
At Pop versus everyone on Twitter, whatever. It doesn't matter. Hey, thank you for listening, and go Cougs.
Give us a 5-star rating. Go Cougs.